Alright, we are back at the Sporty. I got this blue thing done, runs like an absolute top right now, but I was unable to get the brake light switch that I needed. I just got 3 or 4 of them now since that, I don't know if I posted the video, but the first brand new out of the box Drag Specialties one didn't work, so that was cool. Disconnected everything, put the new switch in, got it all set up. It was just a dead switch right out of the box. So I got a couple more of these. I'm going to drop a new one in right now. Let me grab some tools and we'll get started. Okay, in the diagnosis video I posted, I went through how I figured out what was wrong with this. Like I said, the brake light switch design on this, where it sits behind the master cylinder, is terrible in the sense of brake fluid and road grime. But we'll pull this apart again real quick. You should have 4 Phillips screws on this switch housing. I said on the other one, I got 1 screw that's been replaced, so I got 3 Phillips screws and 1 flathead. That's fine. Quick and easy. It's the right thread, it's just not the right head for the bolt. But I'll blast this apart real quick, and then I'm going to throw the switch in, and we're going to do a quick test on the actual new switch, since I didn't expect a brand new part to be defective out of the box. I wish that was the first time that it's happened, but more and more frequently these days. Parts quality sucks. Parts suck. Gone are the days of buying a new part, replacing things, and expecting it to actually work for a while. So I taped off everything on this just so it didn't keep shorting out. I don't have the switch in the switch housing here. So the switch threads into that hole right in front of my thumb there. But let me grab one of the switches out of my pocket, since I got 3 of them in here now. Look at that, a whole handful of brake light switches. I grabbed 3 because who knows if they're going to work. I'm going to pull the tape off of the electronics here. You do have a plastic or a rubber collar that goes around them, but disconnect these. I'll jump these 2 spade terminals on here now. So you got a red and an orange wire. One on. This is before I break any of the plastic clips on here. So as that sits right there, that's your switch. It's basically a circuit. When this is all the way out, you have brakes. That should be your brake light on. When you put this back in the housing and the brake lever's hooked up, this will rest on the in position. So as soon as you pull the brakes, this will spring out and engage your brake light. So right now, if I click this key on, close the garage a little bit, since I'm right in the sun. This is the worst part of the day to be working out in the driveway, which is why I'm working on this bike right now, and then I'm going to start playing with the Falcon a little bit later. But if I drop this down a little ways, sorry about the noise, but right there, you got a bright lit up tail light, which means the brake light is currently on. If I push this in, it should go out, and it's not. So that's cool. Jiggle these wires around a little bit. Right there is where it should be. I might actually have a wiring issue here. Just having such bad luck with these crap switches. That's how that should be right there. If I let that go, I got nothing. Unless it needs a ground. Separate ground. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Right there. That's how it should be. When I push it in, it goes off. So even this brand new switch is still kind of on the sketchy side. My wiring going into the terminals does look good. But oh, that's great. Absolutely great. Okay, working. If I push this plunger, brake light goes off. And stays off, even better. I hate these designs so much. Alright, so there it's working. I'll try another one of these brand new switches, since I'm on a roll with these pieces of crap. Oh, one more. Don't know how I'm having such bad problems with these. The wiring's okay and works as it should. Oh, you know what? It's these stupid terminals that go through the switch. That's the janky part. I can feel it. So I got 3 brand new switches. These are completely hooked up right now. And that brake light's not lighting up at all. Okay. Let me put the janky one in, and maybe if I just wiggle it enough, it'll fix itself. So here's the switches that I'm talking about. They're really thin, they're really cheap, they got really small connectors on them. Here's the terminals. Basically, plunger in, brake light off, plunger out, brake light on. And I'll try bending some of these pins a little bit. Force them to stay out a little bit better. Crap. Absolute crap. The pins themselves are sinking in, so that's what it's supposed to do. Hit the brake light, or push the switch in, it goes off. So, let me try and get this nestled back into the housing. Okay, here's the third switch housing that I have. So orange wire in, red wire on the other side. I'm not going to show you the tail light, but these are all hooked up with the terminals on. So right now I got a real bright light. Hit the button and it goes off. This is another brand new one out of the box. Just lost the connector. But switch number 3. So I'm on literally 3 of these. And this one's actually working. So 3 switches. If I hit this, the tail light goes on and off like it's supposed to. So I'm just going to thread this one in. That is literally the 3rd brand new switch that I just tried running. This is the problem that I constantly run into. I know the sun's out and I don't know how well you guys can see this, but if you look at that taillight housing, this is hooked up, so it's on right now. Nice and bright. Hit the switch, it gets a little bit darker. Second filament goes off. So off, on, off, on, off, on. Hopefully that shows up in the camera. We'll find out later when I edit this, but okay, so I got 1 working switch out of the 4 that I've tried. I'm going to thread this in and hope that it doesn't change its mind before I can get that done. Well, I just knocked over a drink and spilled it all over the lift table, but I went shopping and bought a ton of Menards cheapest, best quality, shitty pliers that I could find. Spent a whopping $14, but I haven't had a full set of pliers at the shop, or my garage at home, in quite a while. So put these needle nose to the test today, putting this little clip back in. Alright, onto the switch. I got a guy coming over here to pick up this, hopefully pick up this 302 that I got sitting in the corner right now. And if that happens, we'll have to pause this and come back to it, but I'll try and see if I can get this done first. You got your threaded end, you got your cable ends, and then you got the plastic spacer that you're going to use to thread it in. Plastic spacer is also your insulator to stop the wires from contacting and shorting, not shorting, but closing the circuit. So the first thing you're going to want to do, take your dash housing, or your switch housing rather, and get this started. I'm going to try and do it by hand. It's tedious, it's kind of a pain to get to fit in because the housing is right next to it on all 4 corners. But just kind of give it a little pressure, start twisting, eventually the threads should catch. If not, grab a pair of pliers, needle nose, because I have those now. Moving up in the world, $14 plier set. Expecting nothing but the greatest of things. They'll probably last my entire life. Oh, sarcasm. Either way, this will thread into the switch housing one way or another. I'm not really driving this in, I'm just kind of spinning it until it lands where it wants to, right there. So now it's in where it wants to be. Grabbing it with some needle nose, very gently turning this. All I want to do is seat it. I'm not trying to torque it down, I'm not trying to jam it in tight. Just get it in enough to stop spinning. These plastic little fittings that you use to turn these in are very fragile. They're about, I don't know, half an inch off of the actual switch. So if you put any pressure on these at all, they will snap. Like I said, you're not trying to torque this down, you're literally just trying to seat it as gently as possible. Hopefully I don't break this because I have 4 switches, 4 brand new switches, and this is the only one that seems to be working. So I gotta be extra careful on this. Luckily the switches are a whopping like $2, $3 or something. And that's as tight as I'm gonna go with that. Finger snug. So that is on. Now, I got your orange and your red wire. On an 81 Sportster, the wire colors could change, different models and different things like that. I don't really know. I just know that that's what I took off, so I know that these are accurate through this color code at least. 2 mini spades, really, really small spade connectors. So we'll slide these on. You guys can see that. I got the red one on the bottom. The order doesn't matter. It's just closing a circuit. Now I got both wires on and hooked up. So I'm going to slide this boot back on and over as gently as possible. And that'll give it a little bit more strength too on the switch. So sneak those through. And essentially all I got to do now is bolt this in. Unless I messed up the order, I think that's how that goes, yeah. It should go just like that. I'm going to throw one bolt in here real quick. Not do a final tighten, because I still want to test it, but I want to get at least one bolt in there to hold it roughly in place. My fancy $1.99 2-piece screwdriver. So the wires go over the bars in this application. I was just looking, I'm like, did those go under? But it looks like they should go through the top. So right there, one bolt holds that kind of in place. Close the garage door again. And then we'll click the key on and you guys can see this light light up. If all is accurate and goes as planned, what you guys should see is when I turn this key on, this light should be super bright. When I pull the brake lever, it should go a little bit dimmer. Well, actually, no, I lied. Now that it's hooked up and the brake lever is hitting it. When I turn this on, there should just be a regular tail light. When I pull the brake switch, it should actually light up. So right now we have regular tail light. And when I pull it, I still don't get brake lights. This is great. Awesome. Gotta love it. Good old high quality parts. The other thing I can check here real quick, let me jam a screwdriver in this and see if it's the switch. If I pull this back, I can get to the pin. I get nothing. Sweet. This is the worst job ever. It's not that I'm doing anything wrong, it's just parts suck. I'm going to loosen this up and see what the wires do if I jiggle this around a little bit. Okay. Jam these wires through together. If I touch the wires, they light up like they're supposed to. Wires not touching, wires touching. That switch basically does this exact same thing. It takes the 2 wires and connects them, which gives me the extra lighting that I should have. I'm going to have to add a pressure switch of some sort in line. I don't want to, because I shouldn't have to. I know the wires are good. And I know the wires are working. But for whatever reason, I can't get that to translate into the actual parts. I know it's tight, I know it's a tedious fit, however, this should not be that difficult. And the fact that it is really kind of pisses me off. It's a $3 switch. I know it's cheap. I'm not expecting it to last forever. However, it's a stupid design. It's not readily available. It's not like something you can just go grab from the parts store. So I've been waiting on these to show up. Especially when I go out of my way and order 3 of them. Everything else diags fine up to the switch. So no excuse for these not actually working. Other than the fact that it's just a crap switch. Everything else is good. I got these wires hooked up again. Still nothing. Okay. Let me rip apart another switch and see how this goes. Give me a second. I'm going to pull this one out. Okay, I'm going to bring it around to the front because you can catch the reflection on the back of the garage door. Here's a brand new switch. I bent the pins out trying to get this to make contact. Right now it's not doing anything. If I wiggle this at all on these terminals, and this is factory wiring too, so this shouldn't be an issue. But if I jiggle this around and basically pull this little switch back where it's supposed to be, I get a bright brake light. Just like it's supposed to. You can hopefully see that on the garage door. If I pull it back, it works. And then if I push this in, it goes off like it's supposed to. However, this switch itself, if you guys can see this metal housing, I'm really hoping this focuses. Here's the terminal. Here's where it goes on. Look at how much play is on this little metal piece right here. That's the terminal. That's not the switch. This terminal is supposed to be fixed out right about there, where if I pull this back, it's fine. When you push the switch, that's what breaks your contact. If this is the 3rd or 4th switch that I have here, I can only get it to work when that terminal stays. I'm putting tension on the cable now. You can see it on the garage door, it's lit up. If I push this in, it goes off. On, off, on, off. So that's what I'm dealing with. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do on this other than put a hydraulic switch in, but I really don't want to because I have all of these and it's all stock and I don't want to have to break the brake lines apart and rebleed the whole thing. Alright, so I'm getting super frustrated. The only way I can get them to work is if I bend these tabs way out and pull it back on the contact. I've had enough of it. I'm out 3 brand new switches. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but they're not supposed to work like that. They slide on, they slide off. As soon as you go to slide the terminal in, the housing on the switches crack. So, and that's me being gentle. I tried needle nose on the end of the wires. I've tried jamming them on my own. And that's without it being in the housing. When you start trying to fight the wires onto the sleeve in the housing, it's even tighter of a space. So, I'm going to add an inline pressure switch to fix that. Because that's infuriating. Stupid design, stupid little tiny pins. Everything works, everything's intact except for the actual switches. I can't get a good one, or if I can find a stock switch housing, I'll take a stock one out, and hopefully that's better than these Chinese pieces of crap. But until then, that's the update. See you guys later.